My name is Emily Carter. I was just an ordinary waitress working at a small coffee shop in Chicago. One evening, right before closing time, a man in a black suit walked in. "Are you Emily Carter?" he asked. I froze. "Yes." He handed me a thick envelope sealed with a golden stamp. "This is for you, according to the will of Mr. William Harrington." I had never heard that name before. When I opened the envelope, my hands began to shake. It said, "I, William Harrington, leave my entire fortune, my homes, my companies, and my $4.7 billion estate to Emily Carter." I dropped into a chair. Was this a mistake? A joke? Or the beginning of something dangerous? William Harrington was one of the richest men in New York. He owned construction companies, banks, hotels, and luxury properties. But I had never met him. The next day, I was invited to New York. In a cold, expensive office, his lawyer, Mr. Blake, greeted me. "Miss Carter, Mr. Harrington changed his will 3 times before his death. In the final version, only your name remained." "But I don't even know him," I whispered. The lawyer looked at me carefully. "It seems he knew you very well." At that moment, the door burst open. A furious woman stepped inside. "Who is this girl?" she shouted. It was William's eldest daughter, Victoria Harrington. Victoria stared at me with hatred. "Who are you? How did you steal my father's fortune?" Behind her came her brother Richard, her younger brother Daniel, and William's widow Margaret. They all looked at me like I was their enemy. "I don't know anything," I said, tears filling my eyes. Richard slammed his fist on the table. "My father would never cut us out of his will. This document is fake." Mr. Blake remained calm. "The will is legal. Mr. Harrington signed and confirmed it himself." Victoria stepped closer and whispered, "You don't know this family. If you take this money, your life will never be peaceful again." That was the moment I realized this inheritance was not a gift. It was a threat. I was allowed to stay temporarily in William's mansion in Manhattan. The house was beautiful, but it felt cold and haunted. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 2 in the morning, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I opened the door slowly. At the end of the dark corridor, someone was standing. "Who's there?" I whispered. The figure suddenly ran away. The next morning, I found a note slipped under my bedroom door. It said, "Leave this house or you will die like William." The next day, I entered William's old library. Photos of his younger years covered the walls. Then one picture caught my eye. William was standing beside a young woman. Around her neck was a necklace exactly like the one my mother used to wear. On the back of the photo, there was a handwritten note, "Sarah, I will never forget you, 1998. My mother's name was Sarah Carter. My heart nearly stopped. Did William Harrington know my mother? I called my mother immediately. "Mom, do you know a man named William Harrington?" There was a long silence on the phone. "Emily, where did you hear that name?" "He left me everything." My mother began to cry. "I should have told you years ago." My breath caught in my throat. "Told me what?" She took a deep breath. "William was not a stranger in your life." My mother came to New York and finally told me the story she had buried for years. When she was young, she worked for William Harrington's company. They fell deeply in love, but William's family refused to accept a poor girl. "They threatened me," my mother said. "They told me if I didn't leave, they would destroy my life." At that time, she found out she was pregnant. "I left to protect you, Emily." My voice trembled. "Then William was my father?" My mother lowered her eyes. "Yes, William Harrington was your biological father." Everything started to make sense. William had searched for me for years, but his family had hidden both my mother and me from him. Mr. Blake showed me a video William had recorded before his death. On the screen was an old man with tired eyes and a gentle voice. "Emily, if you are watching this, then I am no longer alive. I am your father. I found you too late, but leaving you the truth is the only right thing I could still do." I broke down in tears. Then the video suddenly froze. A warning appeared on the screen. "File corrupted." Someone had tried to destroy the evidence. The next day, Mr. Blake told me William had a private safe. But when the safe was opened, the most important documents were missing. "What documents?" I asked. "Your DNA results and evidence of illegal actions committed by the Harrington family." There were too many suspects: Victoria, Richard, Margaret. But Richard was the most dangerous. If the inheritance went to me, he would lose everything. That evening, he asked to speak with me alone. "Take the money and leave the company to us," he said coldly. "Otherwise, your mother's past will be exposed to the whole world." He was threatening me. Victoria arranged a secret meeting with me. "I'll give you $50 million, she said. "Just give up the will." "Why are you all so scared?" I asked. Her face changed. "Because before my father died, he was going to take us all to court." "For what?" She said nothing, but I saw fear in her eyes. This was no longer just a fight over money. This was about a crime the family had buried for years. William's former driver, Thomas, contacted me secretly. "Miss Emily, your father gave me a box one day before he died. He said, 'If anything happens to me, give this to my daughter.'" Inside the box were old letters, DNA results, and a flash drive. The DNA report clearly stated William Harrington was Emily Carter's biological father. On the flash drive, William revealed the final truth. "My family threatened Sarah and forced her to disappear. They hid my daughter from me. Now they are trying to stop me too." Then he said the words that made my blood run cold. "If I die, it was not natural." That night I decided to go to the police, but when I drove away from the mansion, my brakes failed. I barely managed to stop the car on the side of the road. It was not an accident. When I woke up in the hospital, my mother was sitting beside me. "Emily, let's walk away from this inheritance," she cried. "I need you alive more than I need justice." I held her hand. "They took everything from us. I'm not running anymore." That was the moment I stopped being a scared girl. I became someone ready to fight for the truth. The court day finally came. The Harrington family accused me of being a liar, a fraud, and a stranger who came only for money. Richard smiled as he spoke. "This girl never even met my father. She is trying to destroy our family." I stood up. "Yes, I never met my father," I said, "because you all made sure he never knew I existed." The courtroom fell silent. Mr. Blake played the flash drive. William appeared on the screen. "Emily is my daughter. If I die, investigate my family." Victoria began to cry. Margaret turned pale. Richard tried to leave the courtroom, but it was too late. The investigation revealed everything. Richard had changed William's medication. Margaret had helped him. Victoria knew the truth but remained silent. They knew William was going to make me his heir, and they tried to stop him. In court, Richard screamed at me, "If you had never appeared, everything would have been ours." I fought back tears. "No," I said. "It was never yours. It was my father's justice." Richard and Margaret were arrested. Victoria lost all rights to the inheritance, but victory did not feel sweet. I had only just found my father, and I had already lost him forever. 1 month later, I received William's final letter. "My daughter Emily, I did not leave you only money. I left you my name, my truth, and my apology. Wealth does not make a person happy, but justice can bring peace to the soul. If this inheritance ever feels too heavy, use it to help others. I turned part of my father's company into a charity foundation. I named it after my mother, the Sarah Carter Foundation. It helped single mothers, orphaned children, and families who had suffered injustice. One day, I stood in the garden of William's mansion with my mother beside me. She looked at me and smiled. "You look like him." "My father?" She nodded. I looked up at the sky. I was not the heir of a stranger billionaire. I was the daughter of a lost father. And the greatest thing he left me was not money. It was the truth.